here now. Christian Whiton, former State Department senior advisor. The allegations in Woodward's book that Jennifer is addressing here and that it is all over the news right now are very, very serious. And you could see John Kirby there, the Pentagon State Department, the Pentagon spokesperson, essentially explaining it away and saying it's routine. But it doesn't sound like it would be routine, and it sounds like there is some cause for concern.
Yeah, it certainly isn't routine. Really, no one comes out looking good throughout all of this. Not General Milley, not Esper, the incompetent Secretary of Defense, outgoing, not Donald Trump for appointing these two men. Part of a pattern, frankly, of poor personnel choices in the Defense Department by President Trump. It's just unheard of for a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to dial up the Chinese, concerned or not, to tell them we're not going to attack. The Chinese didn't think we were going to attack. They would not interpret election turmoil and a protest in Washington, D.C. that got out of control as that. So really, I think it just reveals a stark degree of incompetence. And, you know, if Milley has any respect for the uniform he wears or for the Army that it represents, he ought to just resign.
And there are those behind the scenes at the time that said, as Jennifer indicated, there was no indication that President Trump was going to do anything like this. So to an extent, to sort of jump over the hurdles here, to kind of jump the gun in a sense, pardon the pun there, it seems like it was a little irrational.
It was completely irrational. Donald Trump was the president who, frankly, repeatedly resisted the urges of our military-industrial complex to jump into new and uncertain military situations. He certainly dialed back a planned airstrike on Iran after Iran took down one of our drones and dialed it back to sort of a bare-bones minimum. And going to war with China preemptively and without reason would be about the last thing Donald Trump would have wanted to do. He actually took great pride in the questionable trade deal that he negotiated with China and always wanted to have good relations with their adversaries like China and Russia if possible.
Well, let's step back for a moment, because our relations with China are a huge issue, right? And you had the passing of the baton from President Trump to President Biden. President Trump very tough on China. You mentioned the trade deal, the tariffs, everything that was going on at the time. And he made it very clear that he was taking a hard line against China. Very different approaches now with this administration, who essentially hasn't really said much about China or how it's going to combat the threat at all. And we're looking at all of this in backdrop right now, with the withdrawal from Afghanistan and the fact that the Chinese have ties with the Taliban, for example. We need to see an administration that's going to step up here, and we're not seeing that.
That's right. In fact, some recent news on this: Biden allegedly asked for a meeting with Xi Jinping, a summit, and was told no. That's very unusual. Usually it's the Chinese who are asking us, and we're the ones hesitating, because as a communist government, they just love the pageantry of international diplomacy. You know, in leaving Afghanistan, Biden echoed talking points from the Obama-Biden administration in withdrawing from Iraq, that we were going to do this to turn our attention to growing threats like China. But that just isn't going to happen. It hasn't happened in the past. We've had multiple administrations who have not put more military power in a real sense into the Pacific. And if you look at what Biden's doing, the defense budget, it can go up, it can go down, and it never seems to lead to more ships, airplanes, satellites that are pertinent to deterring China. So he talks about China as a threat, but there's just no real meat in his response.
Really quickly, Christian, you know, we talk about this theme of accountability. We look at the president. He's the commander in chief. We looked at Tony Blinken testifying on the Hill, not really taking responsibility for the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which was so chaotic. And General Milley, aside from a statement, is not getting up to address any of these issues. And you say to yourself, this is an administration, essentially, that gets away with not being accountable. How is that happening?
Well, if you look at a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps or the Army, or a captain in a Navy ship who, by no fault of his own, has a collision with another ship, career over. It's done. You're lucky not to get court-martialed. None of that accountability applies to our elites, and it's frankly eroding the trust that the American people have in these institutions. The military may have been the last institution that had the trust of the public, but it's rapidly eroding because we've had tremendous setbacks recently, and no one's paid a price.
Christian Whiton, great to see you. Thank you.